The moral of the story is
fight for your ideas and your shit.
All right, before we begin the show, let's thank our sponsors. First and foremost, our title sponsor, Once Upon a Coconut, all natural, non-GMO coconut water with natural electrolytes and no added sugar. You can choose from pure blueberry, pineapple, watermelon, sparkling energy, and chocolate flavors with Once Upon a Coconut. Stay hydrated and refreshed. And if you're wondering why it tastes so darn good, it's due to a combination of factors, including the freshness and sweetness of young coconut water, the lack of additives, and the natural electrolytes present. And the best part about it, Once Upon a Coconut, 10% of profits go to charity that benefit our communities, including the Down Syndrome Foundation, Breast Cancer Foundation, Leukemia Society. Good things, good people, great product. So you can grab it at some Sprouts, you can grab it on Amazon, you can go online to find a store near you or purchase it right there off of their website, onceuponacoconut.com. It is delish. Big thanks to Inspect All Pest Services, our buddy Nick and the crew over at Inspect All Pest Services, providing the highest quality termite, pest, and wildlife control. That's not all they do. Inspect All can take care of your insulation, pressure washing, gutter maintenance, and other home services in Metro Atlanta and the surrounding areas. Remember, seasonal, you get different bugs and critters all around your house, so you want to go with the best in the business, and that would be one of our fine sponsors from day one, InspectAllServices.com. It's the Mad Dog, Manny Aurora, with the Aurora Law Firm, best darn defense attorney in the world, litigating all over the United States, based out of Georgia. We're talking criminal defense, white-collar crime, DUI, drug offenses, appeals, and more. And you can always get your legal questions answered by the Mad Dog, Manny Aurora, by getting those to me. And when he pops up on a show, you get your questions answered. So go to thebaileyshow.com and we'll get those questions to the Mad Dog. The Aurora Law Firm. He is the best in the business when it comes to therapists. There's no doubt about that. I use them, and so should you. We're talking about Dr. David Markwell with Ridgeline Counseling. He's got 10 therapists in-house, 3 different locations there in Georgia, one across from Sprayberry High School in Sandy Plains in East Cobb, Marietta near the Square in McKaysville, just outside of Blue Ridge. But if you're not in Georgia and you need to talk to the good doctor, then you can go online and get virtual sessions. RidgelineCounseling@gmail.com if you'd like to email him directly, or go online to markwelltherapy.com. There is no better time to check if your insurance is any good. That's why FBC Insurance is waiting for you to reach out. You can call them at 888-308-1841 or email them info@fbcinsuranceservices.com. I just switched up my car insurance because I got a better deal at FBC Insurance. They were the people to find it. Perfect for new homeowners, especially if you're trying to reshop those current insurance policies. 5-star service, multi-policy, bundled discounts, and they're going to shop every carrier out there to find the best insurance for your house, flood, storm season, auto, motorcycle, boat, recreational vehicle, or just a personal policy. 888-308-1841 or go online, FBCInsuranceServices.com. Another one of our great sponsors in storm season. You have to talk to the good people at Alternate Power Solutions of Georgia. Family owned and operated. They are a Generac generator dealer, founded in 2012. So storm season, power goes out. Who knows when it's coming back on? Don't be that guy or girl that does not have a backup plan and having power for whatever it be, especially medical devices, fans, air conditioning, so on and so forth. Offering sales, service, installation, and repair of automatic home standby and portable generators, every single one of you. When you become a customer at Alternate Power Solutions of Georgia, you get an upgraded warranty, free monitoring, and warranty repair. A+ rating with a BB&B, and you pay nothing until the job is complete. Call or request a free home assessment and go to their website, poweringgeorgia.com, or buzz them at 770-853-7571. Use the discount code Bailey, my last name, and get $500 off your entire installation. All right? Servicing Georgia and Tennessee. Again, another great sponsor of the BS podcast that is going to come to your aid here during storm season. And I'm talking about Cliff Bratcher and Jayco Contracting. This one hits home for me because I needed advice from Cliff and Jayco Contracting when my mother got a hole in her roof. Now, Jayco Contracting helping the good folks out in Georgia. And if you're in Georgia, you call him this storm season just to know that you're going to be taken care of when that tree falls through your roof or your shingles come off or a hole somehow appears. yours, right? They are a platinum preferred contractor with Owens Corning, licensed and insured roofing and gutter specialists covering all of Georgia. Keep in mind, if you've not gone through this process, Cliff and Jayco Contracting are going to take care of it from start to finish. That means dealing with the insurance companies. That can be a headache and a negotiation, and they're the best to do it. Commercial and residential satisfaction guaranteed. JaycoContracting.com, or 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. You give Cliff Bratcher a call at 770-316-3876. Alive Ozone Therapy Spa in Altamont Springs, Florida. This is mine and my wife's wellness spa. If you have an autoimmune, cancer, HIV, just simple biohacking, long COVID, the answer is yes to just about anything that's going on in your body. Most of the time it starts with inflammation, and ozone therapy, it decreases inflammation. So ozone therapy, we are the first and only to do it in Central Florida. That is Alive Ozone Therapy Spa. We also offer red light therapy, halo therapy, pressotherapy, PMF grounding mat, as well as naturally in-house made ozone infused products like the magnesium butter that many of you absolutely love. Ozone therapy, what is it? Quickly, it repairs and rejuvenates your cells to the mitochondrial level by using activated oxygen. Simple as that. No side effects. That's all there is to it. It's a 30-minute session, and you actually burn up to 600 calories when you're in the Hocket sauna. We do it the most non-invasive way. So whether you're in the area or you want to travel, book an appointment, AliveOzoneTherapySpa.com. All the products you can get there as well. And remember, for you two peers, use the discount code BS10 to take that off those online products. If you want to be a sponsor of the show, reach out to me via thebaileyshow.com. And if you are a listener of this podcast and you need any of our great sponsors, please reach out to them. Now, let's begin.
I think we should do a podcast about rock and roll. And that's what stories.
Yeah, let's do it. Welcome to the Vinyl Road Podcast.
There it is, episode 7 of the Vinyl Road Podcast, all on the BPX, the Bailey Podcast Exchange. 3 different shows, 1 feed, 5 days a week. You can't beat it. Thanks for being here. My name's Jason Bailey. Right there, that is the man himself, Mr. Brad Stewart. How are you, sir?
How about you? How about you?
How about me? How about me? How about my shirt? How about my...
That's sassy, dude. I like it.
Look at that. Your name is on my nipple.
Oh, man. Even better. Whoa,
yeah.
It looks charcoal. Is it charcoal or like black?
This I believe is called Asphalts. If you go to jasonbailey.com in the merch store section at the very top of the page, which by the way is being redone as we speak, but still the merch store section is there. You can find all kinds of merch for all the different shows on the BBX, including this beautiful Vinyl Road podcast with Brad Stewart and Jason Bailey. Look at that.
Yes.
Problem. So I got you a shirt, right? I got you a shirt. I got it yesterday. I opened it up. Was very excited. I laid out all the shirts from the different shows that I got. Honey, I Raised the Kids, the BS, so on and so forth. And the Brad Stewart Vinyl Road podcast shirt came back in white.
Oh, man.
I know.
That ain't happening. I can't do white, dude. I look like a pasty Band-Aid, or I look terrible, dude.
I know.
But it's okay. I know there's other shirts to be printed and had, so that's fine.
Well, I wrote a very hardly worded email. I said, thank you for all the shirts, Daniela at Dashery, but you sent me the wrong shirt color. It's supposed to be black. My man will not wear a white shirt while he is touring the world with the band Saliva. It's not going to happen. And so I'm waiting for her reply now.
I'll pay the money. I don't care. I mean, I just want a shirt, man. Like it's been 6. Now we on episode 7. Come on, man.
Well, here's the thing is that, like after 7 weeks of doing this show, I've been doing this stuff long enough to say, does something have legs? This has got legs. I mean, this is pretty cool to see the fan base growing, led by Ashley. I mean, Ashley's just a freaking rock star. I mean, she's like the number 1 fan of you in this podcast. She's absolutely an amazing person. So it's nice to see, everybody kind of, and by the way, we now have our own Instagram account just for this podcast. So please, if you're not following at the Vinyl Road Podcast on Instagram. Do that right now so we can get those numbers up. I mean, this is all about sharing in order for people to hear what we're talking about, what we're doing on the show. Rock and roll, stories from the road, life, and everything in between. So that's what we need, Brad. We need you. We need you once a week to do a video on social media talking about this podcast.
Oh man. Come on, bro. I post shit, dude. Like I know we had talked about this before, but I am my own worst self-promotion person ever. I never had to do it, I guess, and not to be lazy or whatever, but I don't know. I need to get better at it. There's room for improvement. Yes, you're correct. And I'll get better. We actually this weekend, my wife and kids are going. They're not kids anymore. They're freaking grown ass men, pretty much.
Oh.
We're going up to New York City. Shinedown is playing the Madison Square Garden up there. So I'm gonna hang. So Barry Kirsch, his wife's going, and their daughter, and I think Zach and his family's gonna be there. Zach Myers.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, his family's going to be there, so I think it's gonna be a good time, and I'm hoping to get some good stuff that I can post.
Yeah,
and I'll do it. Vinyl Road here in fucking New York, whatever you want me to do, bro. I'll do that. But
just collaborate with the Vinyl Road Podcast Instagram account. That's all I ask.
Okay,
is that's all I ask? Is just hit that invite, collaborate, and I'll accept in a heartbeat. So this show, was it one of those things where Barry said, "Hey man, why don't you come up?" So is this going to be another Brad Stewart on stage, getting back, for Fly or whatever with Shinedown, do you think, or what?
I think we invited ourselves. I think we were, of course, in touch with Zach, and we saw the show on the schedule, and Mary and I talked about it, and we were like, I didn't have any Saliva shows this weekend, so we were like, we should go up there, and so we ran it by Zach and Barry, and Zach was like, dude, you should totally come, man. My kids are gonna be there, and I think everyone's family. He's like, basically everyone else and their brother's going to be there. So, and their kids. So, yeah, y'all should come out. I mean, I think it's going to be a good turnout. And there is a little bit of a story behind this real quick. So back in the day, and I may have shared this before, but the president of Atlantic Records, Craig Cowman, we hadn't put the record out. I don't think. We were just still turning in demos, but or maybe the record was finished, and we were just listening to it in his office. And I think he played Burning Bright. And he said, wow, he picked up a lighter and did the lighter thing. It was like, fast forward to, sold out at the Garden, Madison Square Garden here, however many years. I don't even think he said a timeline, but I was like, huh, that's cool. Now I'm not in the band anymore to fucking do that, enjoy it. But I'm going to go and watch it. And if they invite me on stage, then dude, of course, man, I think if they're still playing Fly from the Inside, I'd love to jump up there with them. Of course, man. It was fucking, I can't even describe what that felt like. The first time I did it.
Yeah. Well, Burning Bright's probably not even in their set list now, huh?
No, man. They're not doing a whole lot of the stuff from the first two records. I mean, they have had so many songs since then. I guess they don't really, they could really pick whatever songs they want. I mean, and then you got to remember too, Brent's got to sing all that shit. I mean, you sing 15, 17 songs back to back. I mean, you're gonna have some fatigue. So yeah. I'm imagining maybe that plays into their set list and their choices is because I know it does for Bobby. He's like, I'm like, man, why don't we play this song later? And he's like, I got to do it early in the set. Otherwise it's challenging to do it later, especially if we're doing 5 shows in a fucking row or something, then so there's a lot that goes into the design of it. And I'm sure they have their pyro and their everything has a flow that they discuss and they work out, to where it makes sense for them.
That new song Killing Fields is good. Really, really, really good. Very different.
It is different, man. It was cool though, man. It's funny because also yesterday, not to cut you off, but that is a killer song. But I walked downstairs and my son Liam is playing the piano, and I'm like, dude, I know that song. What is that? I said to him, is that Billy Joel? And he kept playing, and I go, oh, dude, that's I'll Follow You. You know that song?
No.
Follow you down to the Shinedown song.
Oh, the Shinedown song. Oh, okay.
Yes, yes, yes. So,
oh, I got you.
so
I thought you meant Billy Joel song. I'm like, no, I'm not
no,
familiar.
no. It was. I was like, oh god, that's not Billy Joel. But the way that song starts and some of the chord choices,
Hmm.
it's really cool, man. It's kind of got like a jazz lounge thing, and the way Brent comes in. And anyway, I think we're gonna film Liam playing it and send it to the guys so they can see that he literally he played it again last night, and I thought it was coming out of our JBL speaker. And I was like, oh, he's actually sitting over there playing it. That's how he's dialed. I mean, he can play, dude. Like, and it didn't take him long to learn it. I mean, it was impressive.
That would be social media content. That's when you film him do it and you post it and you tag them on it, in which they would then respond with killing it, man. That's how the whole look. I'm not a social media expert by no stretch, but I do know that's how it works.
I do too, man. I get it, man. I've been in the game a minute too, but it just, okay.
So that, you told a great story about your kid on the piano, and then you're telling us that you're going to send, a video to the guys in Shinedown, and then the rest of us are going, well, we'd like to see it too.
Yeah.
So
you'll see it. I'll do it. He still needs to learn. Like, there's a guitar solo section, which I think he's already got it, but I think he wants to just get under, it under his fingers a bit more before we go putting it out there to the world to see, for the world to see. So, but yeah, he stuck to his lessons, and he became this player now where he can literally take just really the chords of a song, and he can find the melody without having to read or I mean, he'll have like a bass sort of, he'll tab it out for himself the way he understands it best. And then he's doing stuff like Katy Perry and Alicia Keys, and it's pretty impressive, dude. I wish I could do that. He like blows me out of the water as far as musicianship. And I'm like, but I'm so proud because all the doors that can get slammed in your face because you may not be good enough, he's going to be like, actually, he could be his own guy,
Yeah,
so
I wish I could go back in the day and do something creative like that. And I got through learning 3 songs on the viola in 4th grade, and that's about the extent of my music history. And I think maybe a couple songs on the Yamaha recorder, but that was about it. And just then there was a guy that I went to high school with that would shred on a guitar, and we'd have parties and he'd pull out the acoustic guitar. And I know now it's kind of looked at as kind of douchey, the guy on the guitar at the party. I always thought it was cool, dude. I was like, that's just cool. That's the hips nips, man. If you can do that, that's badass. And he was awesome. Like really, really awesome. I don't know what he did after that. Oh, his name was Slash. I went to high school. No, I'm just kidding. No.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Maybe you've heard of him.
Maybe you've heard of him.
Yeah.
I know that on social media, I see, after we had Will from Earshot on, people are looking for more guests, and we're working on it. There's a lot of text messages that have gone out, both from Brad and myself. I think Jacoby from Papa Roach is going to come on later on in the month. I know they're going to be in Tampa in October, so I'm going to go to that show. Hopefully you can come with me, Brad, to that show. I love Jacoby. You love Jacoby.
I love him. Great guy, man. He's awesome.
A lot of text messages have been sent out to different people. Here's the thing. If for those commenting, on who you would like to hear come on the show, what I'd like to suggest to you is that you tag them and us on Instagram. So if you go on Instagram or Facebook or whatever it is, I mean, the Vinyl Road's not on Facebook, but you can tag the listen to the BS if you want, but just go and tag them and tag the show and say, hey, I'd love to have, fill in the blank, Carrie Underwood. I'd love to have Carrie Underwood on the show, whatever the case. I mean, whether they come on or not, I have no idea. But it would be a nice little social campaign if you want to help out. I know Ashley will. I guarantee Ashley will.
She definitely will. I did tag Momoa because we had talked about
it.
So
did I? Yeah, so
did you? But he did. Yeah, of course. I mean, how many people tag him? I mean, good Lord. But
can you imagine those people on their social media? Just how many one, there probably notifications aren't on.
No, can't be.
And
no way.
And if you notice, big celebrities that have millions of followers. I'm not talking about these influencer people that, which most of the time are a lot of bots, but I'm talking about actual, say, The Rock, Jason Momoa, these types of people. And people that are blue checked will be first when they reply. And if you're that person, let's just say Brad Arnold from Three Doors, obviously going through a horrible time right now with this cancer. He is posting more on social media, which is good to see. Him spending time with his family, his dog in particular. And then you'll see replies, Brent and Shinedown and those guys always first to reply. But you never, at least I don't, see him reply back. You wonder if these people even go through and read the messages and then are hesitant to reply, because if they reply to one, they've got to reply to all.
I think a lot of time they'll at least come by and like it to let you know they read it, but it's
I don't think they do that.
They'll do it for me. I mean, like Zach just made a post and he was with his boys and, Zach Myers and I, and I liked it or said something and he at least went back, and same with Barry, but I think, I mean, who has the time to go back and respond to every last comment? Or maybe you just do one response for everybody.
Right.
That would make a little more sense. But I'm sure he appreciates the support and he reads it, especially in his situation, man. I mean, that's tough.
Brad, you're talking about? Yeah.
Brad Arnold. Yes.
Oh, yes. God. Yeah. Oh, yeah. God. Yeah. I hope and pray. I pray for that guy every night. I do. I just love him to death. And, stage 4 is never a good thing, for any type of cancer, but his in particular, not a good thing. All right. Before we get into what we are going to get into in this episode, Saliva news. You want to update the fans on anything new and exciting in the world of Saliva?
I saw the edit for the video that I think I talked about last week. Actually, it was version 2 of the video, and it looks good, man. I think it's a cool video. It's like a lot of live stuff, and a lot of stuff with the fans and signing autographs, and kind of like like a shot from the road at that time period for that song. And it is going to be "Crowd Goes Wild" is going to be the show, or the next song that's the video is shot.
Where'd you shoot it?
At the Wilma in Missoula, Montana.
Oh, so it's a live video. It's
live. Yeah, we don't. I mean, when we did Devil's World, there was some performance stuff, which Devil's World I thought turned out great. Our guy Thomas Crane, that lived in Jacksonville for a long time. He lives down more like in the Clearwater area now. We were on the road, and we came back to Jackson. He came up and shot the live stuff, but he did all that B-roll, like the story with the guys on the street and all that, and made it like a mini, like a more than just the live stuff, like a little, like almost like a movie telling a story. And I thought he killed it, man. But for this one, we were on the road. We're like, let's just get some good shots of us ripping, live, and then build it just like as a performance video. And that's the way it came out. I mean, plus, you got to imagine this is like 5 singles deep into this record. I mean, going out and spending tons of resources and time and money at this, because sooner or later we're gonna be working on new stuff. It's already happening for the next record. So
are you writing having a part in writing a lot of that?
I'm writing on my own. I usually don't submit things until I feel like the process is underway, and I'll usually have I have a guy that Steve Pereira so I'll make something in my house, in my setup with my ideas, and I'll send it over to him and pay him a fee, of course, his fee. And he'll make it sound like almost ready to go, like almost where someone could just really sing on it and the thing could be mixed properly and mastered, and it could sound like, it could go on a record. So that to me is worth it for me. And sometimes too, he'll fill in the gaps where maybe there could be a cool part that I didn't think of, and he kind of has a good idea of how the song, structure and how things can go. And sometimes I'm like, no, I don't like that. I like the way I had it, change it back, and he'll change it right back. So it's cool. It's part of the process. And then sometimes it'll get to Bobby and he'll be like, he'll write on it and it'll get almost to the finish line. And then sometimes it'll make the record. Sometimes it won't, man. It's just, but I still have my creative output, and I'm going to submit ideas. I mean, I sent Brent a couple songs that were like that. They were already almost produced, ready to go songs. Never heard. I mean, he wrote back that he received them, but I haven't heard any recordings with lyrics, because I just want to hear him fucking wail on that shit, dude. I know, because some of it's pretty heavy. Like the first one I sent almost has like a somewhere between grunge and Rob Zombie vibe, and the low note's a B, so it's pretty heavy and it's chugging kind of fucking song. I just want to hear what he could do and fucking whether it makes his records or whatever it makes. If it does anything, if he even writes to it, I just wanted him to kick its ass.
That just always blows. That's like been my dream. I always say before I die, I want to be a part of writing a song. I just want to listen to a song by a talented musician and or artist with my input. So like when you're writing songs, I mean, even go back to, Control with Puddle and all this kind of stuff. Like to hear that on the radio must be the most satisfying, gratifying feeling ever, to know that your creative is going to live forever. There's so many talented songwriters that are exposed now because of the internet, like TikTok, for example. There is a girl, her name is, I want to say, Elizabeth Nichols. She's a cute little blonde haired girl. She's probably 20 years old, 21 years old. She sings country music, and she has this song that Kelly Clarkson heard because it was like, I guess Spotify is #1 most viral songs or something. So Kelly Clarkson heard it, and Kelly Clarkson, I love Kelly Clarkson. And awesome. Yeah. And I just love her voice. I love everything there is about her. And she sings the song, and it's like, his name is Charlie. He's got a handlebar stash, rides a Harley. Holy shit. I know it's a poppy, bubblegummy poppy song. It's not rock and roll, but dude, that girl at that age to write that so catchy is absolutely mind-blowing, to have that enter the world from such a young kid, right? It's just crazy. And she had to have done it by herself, right? She's 20 years old. She doesn't have a team, it's do you know what song I'm talking about? Have you seen that song?
I haven't. No, but
no. Dude,
you have to send me the link.
Oh my God. There's like, it's almost creepy as a 50-year-old man with a 20-year-old daughter that I'm finding these different artists on social media, and they're so talented, and their songs are so hooky and catchy. There's another girl, beautiful young lady. Her name is, I want to say, Rose something or another. And she has this song about micro cheating. And it's,
what is that?
It's micro cheating, I guess, is you're not physically doing something, but when you jump up from a text from James, why you feel the need to change the name. And so you go up to a bar and you see this pretty blonde, and you start a conversation. I hate to tell you, there's no hurting in a little bit of flirting, but I hate to tell you that's cheating, or so, those are paraphrasing.
Understood.
Fucking brilliant song. It's so catchy. Like I'm going, that's better than most of the shit that I hear in Top 40 radio right now, but
they may or may not even make it. That's the tough thing about the way it's set up these days is, but I guess it was just as tough back then. Maybe I feel like it's tougher though now, because there's just too, like we talked about last time, or even with Will, when Will was on here, the focusing of not only the talent, but the songs that the talent are doing, and the roadmap to get them exposure and to be heard is there's just a lot more noise. There's a lot more out there. It's like, I don't know. It's just, and not in a good way. I think, because people, if they don't have guidance, if they don't have A&R people and proper management, and they're putting out just everything that they do, and they think everything they do is great, now there's that many more songs the listener has to weed through to figure out which ones are actually, going to be a part of their lives and that they're going to connect to.
And then there's the conspiracy theory, right? Of that there's certain artists that labels want to be the artist. So if they hear this song, like his name is Charlie, it's that song, and go, okay, kid, this song is really good. You're not the girl. We're going to buy it from you because we know you'll take the money because this is exciting for you. This song is going to be a huge hit, but we're going to give it to, a Katy Perry or whoever, because the labels or the business, even bigger than the labels, the business, you've kind of alluded to this before, is that they have certain people in place, and those are the people that are going to be, Corey Feldman told me that on the BS not that long ago. He's like, people don't realize that the movie industry, they have certain people they want through hell or high water they're going to put him in place. He's like, I didn't realize this until late. He's like, me and the Coreys, yeah, they were good friends, but they were in a bunch of movies together. They thought it was by chance that he later found out it was the industry going, we have a product here. We have to put these guys together all the time so we can benefit out of the Coreys. That's
Corey Haim, Corey Feldman. Yeah, they were in so many movies together. And you're right. I think so there's certain actors that you're like, why isn't that actor more popular? He's such a good actor, and maybe it's his agent, or maybe he's just not getting the right roles. And why is this actor who's shit on screen not that great? How are they in every blockbuster and they're superstar dudes? And you're right, there's certain people, and whether it's a favor or whether it's an agent or whether it's research or whether they have certain folks. Same with music, man. And you're right, they will do that if they hear a song from some kid that's, because they know how long and how much expensive and how the road to get that kid to where that's to catch up with that song as an artist. If the song is that great, where they already have an artist that's hitting Taylor Swift, Katy Perry, whoever you want to insert name, and they could just take that song, have her sing on it. And half the time they'll buy that song, like you said, from that person that originally wrote it. And it won't, if the person doesn't get a proper attorney, they'll get screwed because they'll buy their intellectual property out of the song and say, that happened to me actually, but I got a good attorney. And we just, you mentioned the band Puddle of Mud. They offered me, or the label offered me $5,000. I would just give you like $5,000, man, and just buy your part of the song out, right? And I was like, what if it's the next Smells Like Teen Spirit? Fuck no. Take your fucking $5,000 and that won't even cover my attorney fees and shit, So I told him, I said no. I said, and thankfully I had some friends that were attorneys, and they hooked me up with a guy up in Atlanta, and he's a superstar. Like he was a badass back then. And he pretty much taught me everything I know about the music business and publishing and how everything works from that songwriter agreement that we did with Puddle of Mud. And then that later led to a publishing deal for me with EMI April back then, my guy, Harry Polliner. So once people found out that, the song Control was a co-write, Warner Chappell was hitting us up. Of course, EMI was hitting us up, and we were starting to negotiate publishing deals because that song, and a lot of times the publisher comes last because the song's already hitting, the song's ripping, and they know it's going to be a success. So then they start making deals and kind of working backwards instead of, hey, we hope this song's going to be a hit, and now we're going to give you some money on, and because what if it's not a hit? And then now they've given you a bunch of money in an advance for future royalties that you have to recoup. And what if you never recoup? So then they lose money, of course, right? You know how this shit works, right? Am I talking too businessy?
No. I get it. I think the audience is very interested in this. So the song that they offered you $5,000 for was Control.
It was Control, yeah. So we wrote the song. I was out there in LA, and I thought I was in, dude. I was like, man, this is. And we had learned Drift and Die. He didn't have Blurry yet. Wes didn't have Blurry yet. And he had some of the songs that made that first record that we learned, and we played along when we were basically auditioning for the band. And then, Danny, Danny Wimmer was the A&R at the time. He was like, hey, do you guys have any of your own ideas to see if you could gel with Wes as a writer? And I was like, I do. And I started playing the riff that eventually became Control, that song. And we actually had the song in an hour, or, Wes we basically it just happened, So then I want to say it was almost even the next day, he hands me a plane ticket on Delta and was like, hey man, I know you wrote the song and it was cool and everything yesterday, but we're going to audition other bassists for this, Wow. Meanwhile, Doug Ardito was at my audition, who became the bass player. He worked at the label at Interscope with Danny and was watching me audition. I didn't know any of this shit, of course, right? But so it was almost like they had already picked the guy. But Fred, recommended myself and T-Bone and Paul Phillips from Jacksonville. So I guess they had to kind of still give us a shot, right? As far as like, let's, because it's still Fred's label. And Fred, if he wants Brad Stewart on the bass, let's see if he's the guy. And if he's not, Fred's like, yeah, he wasn't the guy for this, whatever. But so after that, time went on, and T-Bone was still out there. I was still in touch with him, the drummer. And he's like, yeah, man, we're still playing Control, dude. They think that's going to be the first single. I was like, really? Meanwhile, at that audition, T-Bone had, he had one of those camcorders, and he had filmed the whole writing and everything, the whole thing. So I said, hey man, you mind like dubbing, like making me a copy of the audition, right? And he was like, no, yeah, cool. So he made me a copy, sends it to me. I watch it, of course, and I can see Doug in the in the camera. I mean, he's like over here on the couch or whatever. But anyhow, so I basically I had proof not only that I was out there, but I was in the room. We wrote the song, and I had also had recorded those riffs in a different studio down here in Jacksonville with Pete at Made in the Shade. So I had proof that that's my song too. You know what I mean? So anyhow, I reached out to the lawyer, and thankfully we ended up with it was like a 60-40 split on the song. So
you 60 or them 60?
Them 60. Well, yeah. Wes, he was like, hey man, tell your lawyer to calm down, bro. That's my Wes impression. But so it got to a point where my lawyer was definitely like, no, we want 50-50. And Wes was like, well, the smack my ass part, I came up with that part and the music too, and it's being called the smack my ass song and all this shit. So we conceded to the lesser of the split.
But the moral of the story is
fight for your ideas and your shit. Because I told him, I said, well, then don't use the song. If you're only going to give me $5,000. So then they're like, well, they didn't want to go that route either. So the lawyers ended up working it out together, and there was probably some bitterness, but at the same time, I was like, dude, I showed up and I didn't make it in the band. He's going to write more songs. Like, you should probably just figure this shit out. Right. And he did. They made several more records, whatever.
But you got more than $5,000 when it was all said and done. That's the moral of the story.
Oh yeah, dude.
Smart move, Brad Stewart. Check.
I mean, it was hundreds of thousands. I mean, over the course of time, it was a lot of fucking money. I mean, I'm not, it wasn't like, lottery money, but it just,
smart move, not signing the original agreement is what I'm saying.
Or not signing anything. Yeah, that was verbal on the phone, and I was just like, I immediately was like, absolutely not. This is this band, and when the publishers did approach, and even talking to Steve-O's like, no, dude, that record's on track to sell about 4 million records, so you keep that in your back pocket when you're negotiating these publishing deals. And thankfully, Harry at EMI was reasonable and with my attorney, and we worked, and he was also wanting to do a long-term deal. Like Warner Chappell just wanted the one song, because I think Wes had done a deal with Warner Chappell. So they wanted to control the whole song, because if there's two different publishers or two different people on the song, now if they want to go get it put in a movie, now they have to have my permission. So now they have to go back and say, hey, or MTV wants it for Cribs, and this is what they're offering. They're offering this much up front, and then in perpetuity, as it's played later in syndication on the network, you'll get X amount every time it's that episode's played. And it's a 15-second deal, or it's a whole song, and there's all these kind of different deals these people could make to have control of the song.
That's cool.
Of the song. Yeah.
That's
so
cool. Yeah.
but in that, I would get emails, and I'd get calls from my attorney. He's like, hey, Puddle's trying to do this with Control, and of course I'd say yes. I mean, as long as it wasn't ridiculous as far as what they were offering. So yeah, man, it was, and thankfully in the middle of all that, I had met Brent. We were writing songs in Jacksonville, and we were forming Shinedown. It wasn't called Shinedown yet, but so Brent being on Atlantic, I mean, the publisher knew I was going to still be writing with people on, and part of my deal though was it's called a minimum delivery and release commitment, right? An MDRC. So I had to turn in a certain number of songs in order to get my next advance. And they had to be on major labels, like a major label release. Like say it had to be on, of course, Warner Brothers, Elektra, Atlantic, Interscope. It couldn't be like some indie record. You know what I mean? It had to be like on major. And I agreed to it. So that was kind of tough when I was, let go from Shinedown, because it was definitely a vehicle for me to write songs and get my shit turned in to the publisher, and it was going to get released if my songs made it. So yeah, man, it's a kind of a convoluted thing with the writers versus the label and all the things that can play into the final product of you hearing that song and who wrote it and how did it come about and shit like that.
In the 30 some odd years you've been in the music business, Brad, who have you seen get screwed over the worst after writing a hit song?
Oh, I'd say my bro Paul McCoy from 12 Stones.
With
He's
Evanescence?
Evanescence. Yeah, he's so both those bands were on Wind Up, and I think they originally wanted maybe Fred Durst or someone on that song. Whoever it was they originally wanted, they turned him down. And so they were label mates, and so they were like, "Yeah, Paul, come." I'm pretty sure this is how it went down. It was very similar, as far as I know, to the Puddle of Mud thing. Only he took the money. He took a very small amount of money, and it was arguably one of the biggest songs of the decade. And that was a big song. It was a big song, dude. So I feel bad for him. Maybe he was just thinking, look, I'm looking out for the label and my band too. If I pull this favor, it's going to help us. So I'll take less money. I mean, even if he could have got a little bit on the back end, it would have been special. Maybe we have him on here. He can tell the story. I mean, I would love Paul's a great dude. Yeah, he's fucking awesome dude. So I mean,
because when that song came out, I remember interviewing Amy Lee, some years later or during or something like that. Very sweet woman. Obviously, she doesn't have anything to do with any of this.
No.
But 12 Stones was, after Bring Me to Life came out, they were not talked about. I mean, it was like, here's the song. There's a rap part in it, but we don't talk about who did it. I remember in a radio station, we would have paper logs in front of us, which is not a thing today, but it would have the song and it'd say Evanescence. And I remember when Bring Me to Life came out, no one knew how to pronounce it. We were like, Evansing, like we didn't know it. So it was phonetically spelled out, and it was in parentheses with 12 Stones, or with Paul
McCoy from 12
Stones. Yeah.
Yeah.
But later, as the song got bigger, there was no featuring part of it. It wasn't like Hero featuring,
Josie Scott,
Ed Turner featuring Josie Scott kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which I heard he got screwed in that.
He kind of did on that one too. It was kind of a thing where I think he was probably paid a performance fee and whatever that was, but I don't know that he did write on that one though. But still, the performance carries value, of course, on that many. Of course, they're called spins at radio when radio was a thing, and those big hit songs. Obviously there's an audience, so whenever the song is spun at radio, depending on time of day, depending on the size of the city, the size of the market, the radio station's market share, their influence in that market and their audience is going to depend on reaction for the song, of course, and that's going to drive sales and people are going to show up, and that's the whole thing, right? So the thing is with not having a piece of the writing is that's a songwriter. Some songwriters make just millions and millions of dollars just sitting home, and they don't, because they get a cut of every time, because that's their intellectual property on the song.
Mm-hmm.
But also if you Sound Exchange collects for performance. So if you performed on the song, now that there's a different entity that collects those royalties for you, right? So
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's definitely if you don't know any of this and you going into this, you can be duped. And that's why you see on Behind the Music, John Fogerty gets sued for singing a song that sounds too much like a Creedence song that he also wrote, because his manager screwed him on the publishing and took the writing and the publishing rights to those Creedence songs. So when Fogerty came out and put out a song under John Fogerty that sounded too much like Creedence, he got fucking sued by the guy. Only in the music business would some weird shit like that happen, right? I mean, that's just it's so annoying. It's so like weird to even get your head around that he got sued for making a song that sounded too much like one of his other songs that he wrote. Like
I couldn't,
man.
I couldn't imagine, being duped, like you said, writing a hit song for the love of writing music, for the love of music, selling the song, becoming not just a hit song, but a legacy song, a song that you hear constantly over and over and over and over again. And so when you're listening to Spotify or the radio or satellite or whatever, you're constantly reminded on how bad you got fucked over. That would be the worst feeling ever. And there's plenty of people out there, Brad, like you said, are going through that on a daily basis.
And even me, when I started working in the rum lab at Bacardi, we were allowed to have the radio on, and control is played every hour on Planet here in Jacksonville. I mean, and I'm sitting there going like, and we had already did the songwriter agreement, but the publishing thing was still kind of being worked out while I was still working at the lab there. And so I'm like, dude, I better be getting some for this. Like, is someone tracking this shit? Because it's fucking, you can't escape it, man. And and now I'm following on the media based charts. I'm seeing it just go. It's got a bullet, and it's ripping, dude. Like, you can't escape it. Now you see Fred on fucking MTV. They shot the video here in Jacksonville off Palm Valley Road and shit. Our friend Jessica was the girl that cussed him out and fucking left him on the road and shit. Like, we know these people, my friends were in. Now, I didn't get invited to be in the video at that point. At that point, they were still a little bit pissed off at me, I guess, maybe. And of course, we made up, long time.
How do you make up after having a fallout with the band? I mean,
it wasn't really a fallout. It was just me fighting for what was mine, but they may have thought that they were looking out for their guy too. And they wanted to get, him what they thought he deserved. And I discussed it with Fred, and he was like, well, didn't he write the song? I said, well, no, I presented him with the music, and we wrote the song together. And he was like, so then I stopped it there, and I just said, you know what, let's let the lawyers handle it, but later on when I'd see Wes, I was like, dude, thank you. And Fred too, thank you. I mean, that opportunity changed my life. It did. Right. I mean, because that led me to, like I said, the publishing deal, to Shinedown, eventually to Fuel, now Saliva. I mean, had that not happened, we might not be having this conversation. So of course I'm appreciative for that, but I felt like my contribution also helped break that band. Right. I mean, because that one got him to almost like 700,000 or 800,000 records scanned. Well, on the power of one single. That's a lot. And they were a debut rock band. It's not like they had some legacy of fans like Fish or the Grateful Dead or somebody that has they already have hundreds of thousands of fans. That was built.
Well, let me tell you something about Control. It's, I think, probably contributed to my career. I don't know this for a fact, but if I were to guess, I would lean towards yes. So when Control came out in 2001, I believe it was 2000 or 2001, I was still in Top 40 Radio as a producer for a morning show in Orlando. And every morning, we had just been bought by Clear Channel, now iHeart, and the morning show at the rock station was hosted by the program director as well. Like a musical history genius. Guy knows everything there is to know about music. And I didn't know him well. I just knew of him. But I was there early. He was there early, usually before most people, in the morning show business. And so after I was done with all my show prep in my office, which was on the other side of the building, I would walk by his office with the door was always open. And you always try to keep conversation in a min at, 4:30 in the morning, right? Because people are working and they're tired and they just woke up. But I would always stop in for pleasantries and I'd say, hey, good morning. How are you? And you say, hey, good. How are you? I said, thank you. Good. And I remember after doing that numerous times, one day I stopped in because I'd always say something about, rock and roll, a song that they'd be playing on the rock station. And I said, man, that band, Puddle of Mud, that song Control, that's a hit. And he goes, yeah, absolutely. He goes, people love this song. And I said, this is kind of like the second coming of Kurt Cobain, his voice. It's gritty. It's very Cobain. And we got into that conversation. I sounded like I was an intelligent rock historian type of guy. Right.
Yeah.
I had a Saturday night show that was really bad with this other dude. It was supposed to be, it was bad by choice and chance, but
on purpose.
Yeah, kind of on purpose. But it was successful because it was so bad. Anyway, his daughter would listen to it in the car with him. This is when she was younger. And she loved me for whatever reason. This buckethead guy. So anyway, all these things kind of mixed. And then eventually they were changing to a different format of the new rock alternative, which was, again, I always say the last rock radio revolution. And I think that conversation with Puddle of Mud played a part in it. And I remember it vividly, like it was yesterday. Like I remember it was so, like we were just talking rock and roll based off of that song. So isn't that weird how 20 some years later,
yeah,
I remember that it comes back because of the song that you fucking wrote.
I know, man. It started it all for me too, dude. It was, I wouldn't have met Brent if we wouldn't have met you. I mean, because you were a huge supporter of Shinedown, still are, but you were pivotal in our careers. But I would have never met you had I not had that fucking song, because I'd have never met Brent. But I remember, you know, they call it, you were on the radar of writers when you have a song like that, right? You're part of a hit song, whether you're the guy that is shitting the hits or whatever, or if you just wrote the one, because I mean, it only takes one for most people, right? So I was on people's radar, and you know, Harry at EMI would not pimp me out, but he kind of would. He'd be like, "Hey, there's this band that they need a song. They need a song to take to radio," and he'd hit me up, and I'd either write with him or I wouldn't, whatever. But when Brent was coming through, had I not been on the radar, I probably wouldn't have never been able to, because of Control, ever been able to write with Brent. So, and form the band here, and I was the first one he met here in Jacksonville, and then of course Jason came later, and then Barry.
I would think that
and Zach,
the difficulty of writing a hit song like Control, and then or co-writing the hit song Control, and then writing other songs without.
Now you're chasing Amy, dude. Tell me about it. I haven't had one like that. It's that big since. I mean, we had I Dare You with Shinedown on the second record, and they took that one to pop radio, and that was the first time I'd ever had a song. And you know, Chris Daughtry performed it on American Idol, seeing shit like that. But and it was a modest hit at rock radio, and you know, they took it, I think maybe top 30, top 20 at pop radio. You know, I mean, which you got to imagine, like. So pop radio, as you know, is a faster burn, but the audience is so huge. But I mean, you see songs go up and you see them come right back down, because it's hard to stay on that top part, you know, especially for rock, man. So, and those spots on the, you know, on the station are they're valuable spots, and you'd be surprised what people do beyond what's legal to get to those spots and keep them. But whatever, we'll save that for another.
The better stories of what they used to do when it was illegal, but just kind of not talked about. I mean, I've seen music directors, when that was actually a position in radio, have brand new sneakers every week, you know.
Hey, nice Hummer for the station. Oh, your kid's going to college and it's paid for? How'd that happen? That band came through, and now they have a number one song on your station. Oh, it's just shit starts making sense, right? Or, man, I thought that band cost normally this much to play a show, but you got them for that much? That's interesting. Mm-hmm. Well, the other money went obviously for the spins up to get them more spins on the. You know, there's some dirty deeds, dude. Dirt cheap, man. I mean, it's, but you know, as far as the band's concerned, maybe they take a little less to get more spins, and the payola is not really on the books that way. It's just understood that that's how much you get.
Yeah.
If the band takes a $10,000 hit on the show you're doing for the station for birthday, let's say. Yeah. Not to say that this ever happened in Orlando or at JRR. I'm not saying that ever happened, but if it did. I say it was Earth Day, birthday, or your Christmas show at the fucking House of Blues, whatever it was. Now the band's taking less money, but now magically the song is still, or it's ripping up to number one on the station, and it stays that way for however many weeks, you know.
Yeah, what I was saying with the song is not so much chasing Amy like you were saying, but as far as trying to get that same blueprint of the hit song, i.e. Control, out of your head to write for a new song. Like you just don't want to continue, you know. Now there is something to be said about having a blueprint. There are bands, you know,
yes. Nickelback. I was going to say Nickelback. You could almost line them up like a country song, and it's the same amount of time in the beginning to the verse, chorus. Yeah.
Nickelback, Three Doors, Linkin Park. You know, a lot. And there's something to be said about that. I know there's the argument of like, dude, do something different. It sounds so much like. Well, there's something to be said about sounding so much like, because the flip side of that is like, sounds nothing like, you know. So you can never make everyone happy. And, you know, every time that I've talked to Chad Kroeger from Nickelback, he laughs it off, man. I mean, that one of the coolest dudes you could ever possibly meet, but his way of looking at the music business and the hatred for the band and, you know, the formula songs and all that stuff. He's like, don't listen to it. It's just that simple. Because I remember I asked him specifically, this was about a year ago. I asked him specifically, I said, all right, look, I'm going to ask you the question. I know you probably get asked this. I don't want to get weird and awkward, and I don't want, you know, but the hatred for Nickelback, where does it come from? And why is it there? I mean, you guys have had so much success. You're selling millions of albums. You're international superstars. Why the hatred for Nickelback. And he goes, it's not our fault. It's your fault. I said, my fault. Because you're in the radio business, right? He goes, I said, yeah. He goes, stop playing us so much.
Yeah, but I mean, you know what though? You know what he also said about that very topic? He was like, if it wasn't for the haters, we wouldn't have, our career would probably be over by now. It's
right.
kept them going.
Yeah.
So, and also what he said is he's so bummed about it, he's going to go jump off his wallet.
Yeah.
Kill himself.
I love it.
That's how bummed he is about it. I mean, he's going to go jump off his wallet. I mean, and at that point, I mean, what are you really going to do? Those guys found a formula that worked and still works for them at radio and otherwise, and they have millions of fans. So why would he make the change? I mean, if he doesn't have to, maybe he can make the change on some deeper cuts, but that doesn't make a ton of sense to be like, well, I'm going to be, I'm put some country and some rappers on there. No, it's Nickelback. Play it like it should sound like Nickelback. And that's what people connect to. And that's what they that brings them to the shows. But yeah, he was real like, oh yeah, I'm so bummed. Jump off my wall.
Yeah, it sucks. So do you think bands, I mean, like Saliva, for example, Saliva is, when you hear Saliva, you hear Saliva. Yeah. Shinedown, you know, I remember telling Brent, I think this was going into the sophomore album, just because I was a fan at that time of those active rock songs that were like rock lyric and then kind of rappy or screamy, you know, in there somewhere, maybe the hook or something, very kind of Papa Roach-y. I was always kind of a fan of that blueprint. And I remember Brent saying to me one time, he's like, yeah, I'm working on a song that's like that. And then I don't think it ever came out, or it never, you know, came to something. But Saliva, Shinedown, both those bands that, you know, Saliva in now and Shinedown then, you can't stray from that formula. Like, you can't go to Bobby and go, hey, look, dude, let's get away from everything of the Saliva sound. It would crush the band. Or can you?
I think some bands can, you know, sort of evolve and adapt. Papa Roach is actually one of them, man, because he kind of got away from the rap and was doing more singing and more melody driven stuff, and even, you know, Scars that made it to top 40 radio. I mean, they're writing some stuff, and then I think even later on after Paramore sessions, they actually wrote with people that were doing more like, you know, just different stuff than rock, and you could tell. But, you know, they were still able to evolve. But I think, though, you're right. Some bands, you gotta kind of stick to it, man. You gotta kind of, there's certain parameters, man, that you gotta stay within, or otherwise people are like, did you hear the new Shinedown or Saliva song? And if it is not what they're expecting, you know, there's gonna be some people that are wanting that the sound they fell in love with. I mean, and that band though too has changed over the years. Absolutely. They have to, you know, after the second record, they had different members in the band. You know, Sound of Madness was probably the last, I thought, of that early sound that they kind of carried into that record. And then after that, they you know, they took some risks, and hey man, you're going to lose somebody. You're going to lose some people. I mean, it's just along the way, but you're probably going to gain some too. And I think that's probably how they look at it, is, you know, we've already kind of explored these areas of our sound, and now there's new writers, new influence in the band, new players in the band, and let's try some new stuff. I mean, the song 365, I mean, that's a very, if you look at the chords and the structure and everything, that's a very simple song as far as, you know, they didn't overcomplicate any of the parts, but the melody and the lyrics are so strong. They didn't have to do anything else to it. You know what I mean? They didn't have to overcomplicate shit. I think if it's working for the song, you have to do it for the song, right? Regardless of your legacy of whatever you did before, because that song definitely is not like No More Love on the first record, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's completely, No More Love is tuned. I mean, it's heavy screaming, and it's, you know, it's not that song, but they already went there with that kind of song. So I think they're just trying to keep it fresh to entertain themselves as well. And you know, I mean,
well, Papa Roach, Getting Away with Murder, there's no rapping on that album at all. So
yeah.
You want to talk about totally changing your vibe. And I thought it was absolutely brilliant, because that was their big introduction in the top 40, where they got way more hooky. And it was just, I mean, that was top 40 at the time. Now, top 40 music has changed. It doesn't necessarily have to be so blueprinty where it's, you know, this, and this and that. I mean, you look at songs like Benson Boone song, It's a catchy song. I mean, but it's so all over. I mean, it's not your normal song. Like
Well, that was 2 songs though. He put 2 songs together.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yes, he did. So the way that song starts, it's because it's kind of mellow and the
Yeah.
and then it builds and these beautiful things. Once it goes into that part, that was the other song. Like once he starts screaming and shit. So that was a combination of 2 songs. Yes, absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
So he's the present day. We are the champions. Queen. We're putting it together.
Yes,
that's clever.
Yes.
See, that's clever. That's clever.
And that guy sing his ass off. We were just watching him last night, and I'm like, man, he was on SNL. It was a rerun from a couple weeks ago or whatever, and he was on there, and he's got his mustache. He kind of dresses crazy and shit, and doing backflips, the whole thing. But I tell you what, man, he is singing every bit of that, and he's singing it from the guts, like. I mean, it's scary how good he can sing. His pitch is he's just a killer singer, man. It's fun to watch people like on that level of their game. I mean, it's crazy.
Well, he's like to me, Benson Boone is like a NASCAR race, and you're just waiting for turn 4 because it's just inevitable. One of these days, he's going to do a backflip and blow out his knee. Like if there's ever a reason to watch an artist, whether you like their music or not, is if they do backflips off pianos every show. One of these shows he's going to fuck up. Right. That's worth watching alone. So on his camp's part, pretty damn smart. That's a good gimmick.
When he did it running forward off the piano and jump backwards like what's that called? A pike or a fucking, when you jump forward and you flip backwards, I was like, what the hell was that? And landed, fucking didn't miss it. You just kept going, man. I'm like, what the hell? Who is this guy? And I had heard it. I had heard it on the radio before I saw it.
Yeah, he hits the beat. He's like, flips, lands, boom. Like, wow, that's timing for you.
Wow, dude. But you're right. What if he just barely misjudges the edge of that fucking piano, just by a little bit, and that heel comes out without planting it? Mm-hmm. Man, he's gonna land right on his back. I mean, that'd be terrible, right? He's gonna hurt on his head.
Or he has heat with his opener that's like in the number 2 spot and trying to get to the number 1 spot, and he goes to his shoes and puts some like lube on the bottom of it beforehand, so he slips. I mean, like there's
wax on the piano.
A little wax. So there's so many things that can possibly happen, and that's why you watch Benson Boone. I mean, if you're not a fan of his music, you're waiting.
And that's why everyone's like, just waiting for it, dude.
Turn 4. Right. All right, man. Let's get you some questions. Every episode, we do a few questions from social media. Again, thanks to Ashley for compiling a list for me. It makes things. Oh, Once Upon a Coconut, you still got some left. There you go. BS
my last two, and this has the caffeine, so I got to be careful with this one. All right,
BS Podcast 10 at checkout. It's the title sponsor for the BPX Bailey Podcast Exchange. All the shows. Once Upon a Coconut, the best coconut water you could possibly have. Electrolytes, hydration, all the good stuff. And it's good for you. It's the good sugar. So anyway, BS Podcast 10. So Ashley compiles all these questions. I know Brad will post on his social media for questions, but
I think the algorithm, which we talked about before too, slams it down. The exposure and the reach, but whatever.
Oh, yeah. What is this algorithm thing with podcasting? What are you talking about?
Because you can you have sponsors. You can monetize a podcast. So if you put it out there on social media about something that you can potentially make money on, they limit it because they want you to pay for the exposure for your money making machine through their platform, right? That's why it says boost this post, and you pay them X amount of money, and then all of a sudden now everybody can see the post, right? I mean, there's some truth to that, bro. There is, because otherwise, I don't know. That's another conversation. Anyway, go ahead.
Well,
it's so dirty though. Why does it have to be so fucking dirty? We were
going to talk about conspiracy theories this episode, but we got
that's my conspiracy. Then
we got on a run of this other stuff, and it was very interesting. So, I mean, I think that you just if whatever we talk about, you throw out a conspiracy theory each and every episode. So this episode, Brad's conspiracy theory is if you talk about a podcast on social media, you have to boost the post in order for people to see it.
Not just a podcast. Say you have a business and you're trying to get people to draw people to your business. It will absolutely limit you because it knows that there's potential for them. You're using them to either get followers or money. So they want you to pay them for that.
I believe you.
and yeah, please post in the comments of my last question post on Facebook, or what your thoughts are, or maybe the next round of questions.
Yeah, I mean, feel free to go ape shit nuts on the conspiracy of algorithms. I mean, I'm learning right now if this is all true. Anyway, so we have questions. So Brad will post each and every week on his social. You can just answer that in there. And I know you guys do a pretty good job, but Ashley's kind of compiling a list of tons. I didn't even realize we had this many questions. So, for time's sake, we'll just take a couple each week. And I'm just picking. I've not circled anywhere here.
Great.
We'll start with Ashley. Here you go. Brad, who are your personal top 5 favorite bassists? That's a good question.
Oh, okay.
Check that out. Just give me a top 3 or top 1.
Let's see. John Paul Jones, easily. Led Zeppelin, especially in my early days of playing. Robert DeLeo, Stone Temple Pilots. I love, of course, Les Claypool. Let's see. Flea. Everyone loves Flea. There's who else? I'm trying to think here. I mean, back in the day, Geezer Butler. I like Chris Novoselic. Nirvana. I love Ben Shepherd. Soundgarden.
It's more than 5.
I know. I'll keep going. I mean, if you gotta give me these questions a little bit in advance, because off the top of my head, I'm like, Cliff Burton. There's so many. How about top 10?
I didn't go through them, and to be honest with you, my style when I ask people questions is I don't like to give anything in advance because I like to get the raw reaction.
Damn it.
So I mean, that's how I've always been. Do you mind if I take a question? Somebody's asking me a question.
Absolutely. You do take the rest of them. I'm going to hear what you want to say about this shit.
Jason, do you have any insane, I can't believe they're saying this on the air stories? I've got a bunch, but that would go under the umbrella of worst interviews I've ever been a part of. And I will tell you, at the top of that list is John Frusciante, a guitarist for the Red Hot Chili Peppers. The guy is absolutely a fucking nut job. So the Red Hot Chili Peppers were in Orlando to do a show. And for some reason, night of show, I was going to do an interview with John Frusciante. I'm a Chili Peppers fan. I'm not a Chili Peppers historian, but I did my research as a broadcaster, as a journalist, or whatever the case may be. The record label said, and now this was I was doing, I think, like nighttime or afternoon radio on the rock station. And it was a pre-recorded interview. Even though I don't like to do that anymore. My whole life is pre-recorded now, but I've always been a big live guy. Anyway, so the record label says, just got to say before John comes on, don't ask him anything about the drug stuff. I said, okay, fine. I don't care about that. Because if you know the story with John Frusciante, he was with the Chili Peppers, not with the Chili Peppers, drug problems, rehab, nut job, back with the Chili Peppers, out of the Chili Peppers, whatever. That's cool. I was like, I don't need to ask him. I don't care about that. I mean, it's a dead end question. So no big deal. We're having a decent conversation about music, about being back in the band, about what he did outside the band and all that kind of stuff. It was a fun conversation. You could tell he was backstage at the arena. It was cool. Out of nowhere, no drug reference, no drug question. The dude starts cussing me out of nowhere. You motherfucker, they told you not to ask me about that shit. Blah, 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 blah. I said, John, what the hell are you talking about? I go, who's in your head right now? I mentioned nothing about that. No, you alluded to it by asking. It was like not even close. So anyway, I wrapped up the interview quickly, got off, and my first thought was, I cannot wait to air this. And so I'm sitting there editing and putting the beeps in and stuff. My program director calls me. Dude, what just happened? Dude, the guy's a nut job. I was told not to bring up the drug stuff. I did not. I've got proof. And the guy goes off on me. He goes, the label doesn't want you to air it. Well, I said, tell the label, go fuck themselves. I go, it's my show. He came on. He did it. I'm airing it. He goes, I don't blame you. Go ahead and do it. I heard it like 3 times.
Do you still have that? I'd just like to hear that part of it. You know what I mean? Like, send it to me.
I would have to. I think if I do have it, it's in my box of cassettes that I would have to go and get. But I mean, that and who's the Bad to the Bone guy?
The Thorogood.
Yeah, what a dick. That's the biggest douchebag in the world. It's a total asshole. So anyway, that's a long answer to your question. All right. Here's a good one from Marshall. What concert or show is your biggest regret of not going to? I guess it's just a fan.
Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses, Jacksonville Coliseum. So Guns was opening, and it was on the Appetite for Destruction record. I want to say, I might have been, I was young, but my friends, maybe I was in like 8th grade or something, but my friends got to go to it. And of course they're telling me, and this is, Guns hadn't really broke out yet. They were on their way. But the whole time, my friends were telling me that they were playing, everyone was going, Crue, 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 for Motley Crue to come out.
Mm-hmm.
So Axl's getting pissed, but they're still up there, and they're still Guns N' Roses, still, they're still ripping, kicking ass up there. And they just told me about it, man. And I had already had the record, and I was stoked about it. I still think that's one of the best records of all time. If it's definitely for them.
Appetite.
Oh yeah, dude.
Oh.
That's
Motley Crue
don't get much better than that shit, dude.
Motley Crue would have been touring on the Dr. Feelgood album at that time.
Yeah. So the fans are yelling Crue, and there's diehard Crue fans. I get it, man. But I just regret not going to that show. I thought that would have been a pretty pivotal thing for me to see at my age, and then Guns obviously taking the career to where they took it to. They're still around doing shit. I mean, it's pretty legendary.
It's funny because I saw that in reverse. I saw Guns N' Roses headlining with Soundgarden opening up, and Soundgarden getting booed off stage.
That hurts my feelings a little bit there.
Yeah, but it goes to show, how music has evolved, the fan base has evolved. I think the music fan base, rock and roll fans are supposed to be all inclusive, and you're there for the music, and that's it. Unfortunately, as time has progressed, we've gotten ourselves wrapped up in so many other causes and propagandas that we forget that we're there for the music, and that's what's bringing everybody together. There's nothing better, and I'm sure from an artist standpoint as well, but definitely from a fan standpoint, when you're sitting in a sea of thousands of people and everyone is singing the same song. There's nothing in the world that's cooler than that. Yeah. Nothing in the world that's cooler than that. Now I think now I know if you have a band of two different genre or two different formulas in the same genre, still rock and roll, but different parts, I don't think fans would react the way they reacted to Soundgarden at the GNR show. They're not as divided in that way. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. I think, when I remember hearing stories though, I think it's kind of like maybe that city or just whatever, I don't know, whatever the vibe is in the air for fans to react that way. I mean, hey, I've been booed before. We were booed, and it only happened, I want to say, like, not booed, but it only happened once on that Van Halen show.
Van Halen.
Yeah. Because I think we were in Phoenix, and all of a sudden I'm like, what are they start hearing chants in the crowd, and they're going, Eddie, 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 while we're playing and shit. And while Brent's talking between songs and stuff. But that was the only time on that tour that happened. Or really, I did fill in for Saliva years ago in 2008, and we were out with Seven Dust. And I remember, and some people that may be listening, Mike Stewart, will remember this. This is after I was let go from Shinedown. And we were playing the Starland Ballroom in Sayreville, New Jersey, right? Mm-hmm. And so Saliva's, so there's two other bands on the bill, but we were right before Seven Dust. And they didn't get it, man. They didn't like us. And I was just filling in. So I'm like, at that point, I'm like guilty by association. I'm like, wait, I am with them today, but only for the next couple weeks. I'm not in this shit. Like, don't fucking boo me. Like, I get pissed at me. And at the time, John Montoya was in the band. He almost got his ass kicked by like several people. We got him out of there. It was one of those things where they just, I don't know what it was, or if maybe Josie had said something, or, what happened but I want to say the set started like that. Like there was animosity almost from the get-go. And then we had to kind of just deal with it until it was over with,
That's crazy.
But yeah, dude, it was, like I said, some of my friends that still are my bros today and that were at that show. And they were surprised to see me, obviously, with the band after what had happened. And that we still talk about it. He was like, man, they didn't like Saliva, that's for sure. So now anytime I see New Jersey on the schedule, I'm like, wonder how that one's going to go. Really, the Northeast in general can be tough, I think, man.
Yeah.
They're hard about their music, man,
I remember talking with Brent when the Van Halen stuff first came up. And he had called me, or we were on the phone, whatever the case may be. We were on the phone. And he says, I just got word that there's a chance that we could go out on the road with Van Halen. And I said, wow, dude, that's huge. And he goes, yeah. He goes, and he openly said, he was like, I'm nervous. This is Van Halen. This is, it's Sammy Hagar. It's Eddie Van Halen. I mean, I'm nervous. I think it'll be fine. It's going to be huge, but I remember him being nervous, and rightfully so. I mean, that's tough to be, I think the 80s rock and roll crowd, totally different from the 90s, but still kind of the same mindset of very possessive of their genre of rock and roll. Mm-hmm. And then as you got into, the 2000s, I think that changed, where it was like, dude, let's just all have a good time. It wasn't so compartmentalized and divided. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I remember hearing stories of STP getting booed when they were supporting Megadeth.
Oh, I'm sure. Oh yeah, definitely with that genre.
Or if you're opening for Slayer, good luck, because the Slayer fans don't mess around either. It's funny you mentioned though with Eddie. Eddie ended up loving Brent, and I know Brent was. I mean, we were all probably a little bit not nervous, but it was it's an arena tour. But I remember specifically Eddie being in our dressing room and telling us, "Hey, this guy's a real deal, man. This guy, this is the fucking guy right here." Like to Brent, to us about Brent, and Brent's just kind of like, just kind of grinning, and we're like, we know, but to hear it come from him, I think it had to make him feel good, made Brent feel good, But yeah. Did you like my Eddie impression?
Hey, I did. That was good.
That's pretty good, right?
That was really good. All right, last question. This one's extremely serious, very deep. So think about it before you answer, Brad. What are your preferred superior hair products?
Oh man. Well, there was a company called Naughty Boy, Knotty Boy. Naughty Boy, baby.
Naughty Boy.
But they were based in Canada, so I would buy my dread products from these people, right? And it had to go through customs. So sometimes you could find it on Amazon or eBay. Someone had already bought that and created their own store, so you didn't have to deal with the shipping and customs and all the shit. That was my go-to brand for my shampoo bars and everything under the sun. And they either went out of business or stopped shipping to America. I don't know if that was because of the politics. I don't know what happened, but quite recently they stopped. So now Dreadhead HQ is good for dreads. There's a couple spots on Amazon you can get dread products. As far as hair dye goes, which I do use, it's called not nature, like Herbatint. So it's like an organic type dye. Yeah, you can get it at like.
You sure you don't want to use just for naughty boys, naughty men?
Yeah. That's why I had to spell it out, because people are like, naughty boy, huh? It's with like a knot in your hair, tied in knots. Yeah, I know you got it, but that's
I got it. But it's better if it's naughty.
Not too bad.
All right. Give us a like, share, follow on all social, at the Vinyl Road Podcast on Instagram. But, for the BPX on all the shows, I'd highly appreciate if you do it. Remember, on Mondays, I release an episode with my wife called Honey, I Raised the Kids. It's about us becoming empty nesters. Tuesday, Wednesdays, Thursdays. It's all like my radio show has been for decades, called The BS. Tuesday and Thursdays are for subscribers and subscribers only. If that interests you, you can subscribe, jasonbailey.com. I'd appreciate that. And then Fridays, of course, we release this episode of the Vinyl Road Podcast of rock and roll, stories from the road, life, and everything in between. Those questions, make sure you're following Brad on social media. I'm rebranding my website, jasonbailey.com. I will when it's done, which hopefully will be in the next couple of weeks, I'll have a section on there where you'll be able to submit questions to make it easier, so they're not in like 50 million different places. I'm dealing with that actually in the next week or so. So anyway, thank you to all of our sponsors, especially our tightest sponsor, Once Upon a Coconut, BS Podcast 10. That is your code at checkout, so you can save some Geetuses. BS Podcast 10, BS Podcast 10. If you'd like to be a sponsor and jump on, you get all the shows, but definitely this show, but you get all the shows. Please reach out to me via jasonbailey.com. We would love to have you. Have great sponsors. Hope you use them. Hope when you do use them, you tell them you heard them from us. But if you'd like to be on the show, a new sponsor, let's have that conversation. Not a problem. All right, brother man, you got anything before we get out?
Just like I always say, man, I'm grateful. Thank you all for listening. And, thank you for really still caring about rock and roll musicians and their stories and their legacies. It's something I think that it's important to keep the rock alive, man. Because I mean, I feel like we're kind of like the last of a dying breed sometimes. But I mean, and then an artist will pop up, and then it's like, okay, there's still rockers out there. But anyway, just grateful, man. Thank you all for listening and the support.
Thank you. I echo that. Thank you for the support. This podcast, just in 7 episodes, is gaining momentum. Like I said, it's got legs. So thank you for jumping on. But again, please share it amongst your social network, just so other people can hear it and see it, and know it, and all that kind of good stuff. And if there is an artist that you would like to have on, tag them and the Vinyl Road Podcast on Instagram and say, I'd love for, blah, 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 to come on the Vinyl Road Podcast. I'm a fan of the podcast. Great podcast, blah, blah, blah. All right, look, have yourself a great, safe rest of your day. If you are going to be doing some drinking, I understand, I get it, but if you've had too much, please do not get behind the wheel of a car. I've lost way too many friends like that. We'll talk soon, and bye.
I think we should do a podcast about rock and roll. I got some stories.
That's it for this episode. Check out jasonbailey.com for more shows. Until next time.
Okay.
Sweet.
3 different shows, 5 days a week, 1 feed, details, and to subscribe, jasonbailey.com.